how do you respond to poor results? Results that are undesired. Today, what I want to do is listen to one of the NBA's best players and how he responded to poor results and his mindset when it comes to results. You can get a lot from this. I think we can learn from it, especially during a time that there's so much negativity and so many, bad examples of how to respond to results with, a lot of professional athletes, that when I found one that's such a great example of how to respond, I thought it was something I wanted to share with you. So let's jump in. Welcome back to Hard, Smart, Together with Coach Dave. I'm Coach Dave. I'm here every week to help you with your mental game and the habits that are going to help you take your game to the next level. In fact, if you are somebody who's looking to take their game to the next level, if you haven't already, be sure and download my Champion Intangibles. There are 8 intangible skills that are going to allow you to really kind of stand out to coaches, to be an asset to your team, to really take your game to a next level. They're an advantage that you'll have over other players that maybe aren't practicing these intangibles. And so I'll give you those intangibles as well as some of the ways that you can be working on them and mastering them. So I'll put a link down below in the description. And if you're listening on the podcast, you can simply go to hardsmarttogether.com/intangibles. So let's jump into today's episode. I'm really excited to share, an interview I saw with, as I mentioned, it is one of the best NBA players in the game today. And to give you a little context, I was watching the playoffs. It was early in the playoffs, and watching the games, and I like to watch the post-game interviews, and I came across one of the Giannis Antetokounmpo, an interview he gave post-game right after they got knocked out of the playoffs in an early round. And we've all had these results that we didn't want. We all want to win the championship. We want to win the last game of our season, which means we've won a championship probably. But how do you respond when you don't get the results you were looking for? And how do you view those in your own mind? And how do other people view them? So this interview was an excellent example of how you can look at these undesired results. And it's interesting because the question that was asked, and I'm going to jump into the interview here in a second, but the question that was asked was, Giannis, do you view this season as a failure? And I got to tell you, when you're watching the interview, it kind of rubbed him the wrong way. The competitor in him, I think, it rubbed him the wrong way, and so he got a little snippy with the reporter, but he was polite about it. But he basically gave him a little bit of a lecture on mindset as his answer. And I thought we can really dig in, after we watch the interview together, we can dig into some of the areas of things that I work on with players that I work with to help them with their mindset, to help them deal with what others might call failure. But undesired results. What's your mindset around those undesired results? So let's jump into the interview. Let's watch it, the piece where he responds to this reporter, and then we'll dig in a little deeper, and I'll kind of cover some of the items that I see are really kind of learning points, teaching points that we can really take from this interview and apply to our mindset when we get not so wanted results.
Do you view this season as a failure?
Oh my God. Okay, because I'm not that up. You asked me the same question last year, Eric. Okay, do you get the promotion every year on your job? No, right? So every year you work is a failure. Yes or no? No. Every year you work towards something, towards a goal, right? Which is to get a promotion, to be able to take care of your family, to be able, I don't know, provide the house for them or take care of your parents. You work towards a goal. It's not a failure. It's steps to success, you know. And if you've never, I don't want to make it personal. So there's always steps to it, you know. Michael Jordan played 15 years, won 6 championships. The other 9 years was a failure. That's what you're telling me. No, I'm asking you a question. Yes or no?
I mean, I don't think so. No.
Okay, exactly. So why are you asking me that question? It's a wrong question. There's no failure in sports. You know, there's good days, bad days. Some days you are able to be successful. Some days you're not. Some days it's your turn. Some days it's not your turn. And that's what sports is about. You don't always win. Some other people's gonna win. And this year somebody else is gonna win. Simple as that. We're gonna come back next year, try to be better, try to build good habits, try to play better, not have a 10-day stretch with playing bad basketball, you know, and hopefully we can win a championship. So 50 years from 1971 to 2021 that we didn't win a championship, it was 50 years of failures? No, it was not. It was steps to it, you know, and we were able to win one. Hopefully we can win another one. You know, sorry that I didn't want to make it personal because you asked me the same question last year, and last year I was in the right mind space to answer the question back, but I remember it.
So, as you saw, you know, he's fresh off of a loss, which knocked them out of the playoffs. He's been working all season on, you know, the goal of attaining a championship, of having a quote successful season. But it's all how you approach success and failure. It's interesting. After this interview, I happened to be watching this interview on TNT, which hosts a lot of NBA games. And if you've watched NBA games on TNT, you'll know that, you know, there's, you know, Kenny and Charles and Shaq and Ernie, a group of guys that kind of discuss things like this. And the best reaction I heard to this interview was Kenny Smith said, Giannis just gave a TED Talk. And it was essentially, it was a TED Talk on how to approach what others might call failure. And so that's why I wanted you to see it. It's just such a great example of his mindset and how we can work on, you know, having a better mindset when it comes to poor results. But there was some specific things that I think I wanted to point out in the interview that he mentioned that will help with your mindset when it comes to results. And he, you know, to put it in perspective, I mean, this is a guy who's won an NBA championship. He's been an NBA MVP. He's coming off of a bad series loss. His season's over, and he has the composure to articulate this mindset, which I think is just amazing. So what are some of the things that we can pull out of this that really, that we can apply as we deal with results in the future? One is, I noticed he mentioned, he obviously practices gratitude. And gratitude is something that I work with players on a regular basis to put into practice in their daily lives, but especially when it comes to their athletic career as well. You notice he mentioned things like, you know, having a great family, having a job, you know, getting to play the game, you know, having a home, providing for his family. Now, your gratitude might be different from his, the items that you see as blessings in your life, but I thought it was amazing at that point, as he's given this answer to this reporter, that he's pointing out, things that maybe the reporter could look for in his life, which are gratitude-based. And he is pulling out areas of his life that he's grateful for, that the opportunity to play the game he's playing, and the opportunity to play in that playoff game, gave him these blessings of a family, providing for the family, a home, a job, things of that nature. The other one that really stuck out to me that I work with players on a regular basis to have them focus on, you understand, he talked about steps in a process. That this event, that this, what the reporter was maybe thinking was a failure in his mind, he was just viewing it as a step in a process. So he was process focused. He was not results focused. He talked about, you come back the next season, you try and get better, you work on things, you try not to have that same result, you try and have a better result, you try and win a championship, but it was all part of a step along the process. And whatever, you might be viewing personally as a failure right now, did you, not make the team you wanted? Are you not getting the playing time you want? Are you, did you lose a big game? Did you miss a shot? Is your season over? There's all types of things that you could look at, and you could have the mindset that this reporter might have had, which is, oh, is that a failure? Or you could just look at it as a step along the process. And so a lot of the people that I work with, we really concentrate on being process focused. Focus on the process, focus on the steps, and not necessarily the results, because the results are a step. It's a learning opportunity. It's a place that you can find what you need to work on to have a better result down the line. So I thought this was amazing that he brought that up as well. And, he also brought up the fact that, you're focusing on this loss, but there's a lot of NBA players, there's a lot of college players, there's a lot of high school players that never get an opportunity to win a championship. Here, this is somebody who's won a championship. He has won an MVP award. He's had success in his career, and he brings up somebody who everybody looks at, well, maybe not everybody looks at as the GOAT, but I look at as the GOAT, and everybody looks at as one of the most successful NBA players in history, and that's Michael Jordan. All the seasons that Michael Jordan played, and he didn't win a championship every year. And he's pointing out, are those other seasons failures? No. They're steps along the process. And so, putting that in perspective, Michael Jordan lost more seasons, if you want to look at, not winning a championship as a loss, lost more seasons than he won. But he won an awful lot of championships. And champions, that's what they think about. They think about the wins. They think about the shots that go in. They think about the years that they win the championship. And they embrace that process along the way. They embrace those results. And, he mentioned another thing. He goes, there's no failure in sports. I mean, he's given a TED Talk to this guy, this reporter. It's just amazing. There's no failure in sports. I mean, you win just because you're playing the sport, because you get the experience of playing the sport, because you get the experience of competing. You get the experience to go on to the next season and continue to improve. So I knew when I was watching this interview that it was something I wanted to share on my channel. I just thought there was so many lessons that came out of this. In fact, I just want to thank Giannis for having the mindset, having the clarity to articulate such a great answer to the question of, was this season a failure? And he gave us all great teaching points, and hopefully teaching points that you can take on your own journey and take into your upcoming season. As you go into this current season, when unless you go undefeated, unless you make every shot, unless you win a championship, you're going to experience results that maybe were not the results that you wanted. You could view them as, you've got a choice really. You could view them as a failure, which I think is the wrong thing to do, or you can view them as a step along the process and, really concentrate on your blessings. So thanks to Giannis for putting that out there for us all to learn from, and, something that hopefully my audience can really kind of grasp and learn from as well. So until next week, we'll have some more great mindset tips for you next week. But until then, don't forget to play hard, play smart, and play together. And see you soon. Thanks.